Janet Kuypers. She's a Chicago native and a performing artist, professional performing artist and a publisher. Although she was born in Chicago, since 2015 she has lived in Austin, Texas with her husband, John Yatka. John is here. It's his birthday, so let's give it up for John on his birthday. John, I'm a little bit older. I like to say I'm 39 with 25 years experience. So she edits 2 literary magazines through Stars Publication. Has over 100 books of poetry, prose, novels, and artwork in published form. But now mostly focuses her efforts on scars. She at one time hosted the Cafe Gallery Chicago Poetry Open Mic, and now hosts the monthly Poetic License Austin, Texas Open Mic, which is also global through Zoom meetings if you'd like to see them. When she's finished tonight, when we're done tonight, she's going to have some of her books here, and she'll sign them for you, and you can make a purchase. And I can tell you, there's no better way to support an artist than to purchase their work. Right? Am I right, Doug? So, give it up for Janet Kuypers.
Thank you very, very much. Tall ladies here now. I wanted to say I saw her holding something up, and that was a chapbook. I'm going to do a little bit of getting ready because I decided that I would have a chapbook for all of you of what I was going to read tonight, but I, can't print that many. So apparently this kind gentleman was going to pass around chapbooks, and I see them over there. So he will do that throughout this evening or whenever he gets the chance so that you could actually see some of the work as well. I should have the music going for something. Give it up for John again because this is his birthday. Happy birthday. Those are for everybody. Yes, those are for, I have books, yes, but I figured I could give you a taste of what the show is going to be like, if that's what it's there. Thank you very much for that. And yes, I've lived in Austin for the past 5-6 years, and there can be some terrible laws that are being passed that are in Texas right now and potentially here, but I think Chicago and Illinois wins for their really horrific government stuff. I think half of our past 8 governors are in prison now, and we produced Barack Obama, so take with that what you will. So anyway, thank you all. I think we need to have some music with this. We're going to hear some music from Francois Leroux, the Ha Man of South Africa. I can get this to come up. Let's try this. I hope you do this video. Very softly coming in. No, I've just raised the volume on it. If I can get this to work. And then I was reading. Softly in the background, can you hear that? Yes, well enough for all day. That's my whole show. And I think there's...
She has a huge one.
This is his. I'm borrowing his so I can read for you guys.
Everybody needs to get attention.
My tucky. Say happy birthday again. And there you go. infectious diseases are spread anyway. Seminal fluids, blood transfusions, or not washing your hands. Did you think that you were safe vacationing? As I lost it. Of course I lost it. Did you think that you were safe vacationing on a cruise ship? Oh, silly you. For you should know that we're not all living in this one global economy, and what happens in Wuhan doesn't necessarily stay in Wuhan. After thousands recently died from a recently discovered virus, it's discovered that this virus escaped from a biolab, research lab in China. Not Russia, not the Middle East, but a place where they now say that the Great Wall is only for show. But is it really? For the only known biolab in China, in Wuhan, recently reissued a statement on cleanliness for the country to avoid disease, released just after this most recent mass epidemic was fully discovered. And you'd think a lab would know how to be clean, but that doesn't mean that their well-paid researchers wouldn't illegally make an extra buck, or would that be making many extra yuan? That doesn't mean that these researchers wouldn't sell these laboratory animals still alive for extra cash. Because one Beijing researcher said they once sold live monkeys and rats for the equivalent of $1 million US. And yes, these precious animals, disease-ridden animals, made their way into people's stomachs and maybe eventually into the people that are working on your cruise ship. And you thought you were safe. Silly you. You should know better. And you thought that if you didn't swallow 3 gallons of someone's saliva, you'd remain safe from contracting these infectious diseases. You've been vaccinated. You even go so far as to wash your hands. How noble of you. And you thought that was enough. But as I said, this global economy means that we're all almost like we're all just sharing one giant bed together. We just didn't realize how messy that bed could be. How messy, indeed. Thanks. I think I wrote that just after it was discovered, this disease. I'm going to scribble that down right now, but I can't have enough of masks, so what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? You asked me to the masquerade, and I willingly complied. But I'm tired of wearing this dress, and the feathers in my costume won't stop licking my face, and you cannot see the tears falling behind my mask. When you see the price they pay, I'm sure you'll come and join the masquerade, you say. But the price is too high, for I don't want to wear a mask with you. And I would only hope that I don't have to. This is scrolling, which is fun. This I wrote when somebody wanted a piece about animals, and I hope you like this, called Uniqueness Finds Love. Pacing inside my walls, I was trapped in this cage after hearing the news of one lonesome whale roaming the Pacific with a 52 hertz mating call that was higher than what any other whale could hear. Discovered by naval researchers, this one whale pulled on the heartstrings of many generations because we all too painfully know that loneliness and that desperation. Can anyone hear our pleas? Pandemics force us into isolation, which further restricts any chance for connection. Days become years as we are forced into this separation, and we suddenly now connect to this one lonesome whale. And in our isolation, we sit in our boxes, type questions to our internet corporate big brother, and realize that we're not alone in loss as newspapers share, musicians croon, and researchers search to to no avail until they found audio recordings of that one singular sound in two places. There was another one. Without finding that whale, they instead found hope that no matter who you are, no one is truly alone. My past and my future has been shattered in fractional fragments of moonlight where my burnt offerings are my only remains. You do not realize what I've given you, and you do not know the thousands of lives we have lived intertwined. Throughout existence, I have inhaled you, breathed you in deeply. From your purity to your toxicity, into this collective conscience, making my brain shake with every heartbeat until I realize that I am everything from Athena to Medusa. For too many years, I have fought this battle, waited for you to open Pandora's box. I've waited for you to finally understand, to take my hand and join me. There's going to be a variety of totally different pieces and styles here. I have a few events poems, because I would write poems for events as they would come up, and I have an event book or two about them throughout the year. This is one of those event poems. It's called Obfuscate the Truth, and it was written on the 10th of July, the day in 1925, marking the beginning of the Scopes trial in Dayton, Tennessee, of the so-called monkey trial of John T. Scopes, the teacher that was accused of teaching evolution in violation of the Butler Act. This is Obfuscate the Truth. The most ludicrous thing is when people try to legislate untruths and expect everyone to just go along with them. That man would obfuscate race, gender, science, and the truth. We hold these truths to be self-evident, you all boldly proclaim, but do you? What is your definition of truth? And at what lengths will you go to obfuscate the truth? The ACLU wanted to finance a test case against the constitutionality of the Butler Act, which became the Scopes monkey trial. In an attempt to gain crucial limelight for the injustices of deliberately not teaching science to children, a team of researchers approached a substitute teacher, John Thomas Scopes, stating that the Butler Act prohibited teaching human evolution, but the state required all teachers to use the assigned textbook, Hunter's Civic Biology, which contained that evolution. Scopes wasn't sure he taught evolution, but chose to be their defendant. The defense fought gallantly, but their efforts didn't matter when the cards against reason were so stacked in this house against them. They lost the trial, and Scopes had to pay a $100 fine. Scopes was even harassed afterward for years because of this while continuing education at the University of Chicago. But the seed was planted, and it would only take time before ignorance would be overturned in the eyes of the law. This trial set modernism against fundamentalism, which said that the Word of God, as revealed in the Bible, took priority over all human knowledge. This is where the debate began, and this is where this tenuous debate will fight and flourish. Do you believe in truth through evidence, or do you believe in a centuries-old book that the world accepts on faith? And are the courts here defending blind faith, or do they defend people's right to make their own choices for themselves? Your choices in politics are so directly linked with religion, and with science, and with knowledge. So, choose wisely. The next three poems I've done research groups for years. I have a lot of women's issues poems, and the next 3 poems are in the 2022 Cyberwit book, not mine, of my women's book, that is titled Shattering the Glass Ceiling. It has just come out. I happen to have copies of it. I think retail is $15. If you want to take some of these off my hands as I'm traveling around, I'd love to give you some. They're awesome. They have all sorts of, rape, violence against women, events, poems with translations into a few languages, essays, and even more. And some of the people at the chapbooks have been distributed, I believe so. For those of you who have the chapbook, on the same page of this next poem is also a Farsi translation, thanks to Fareed Mohammadi, my friend from Iran. This is a short one that's called The Men at the Construction Site. A woman told me that scientists did an experiment where a woman first walked past a construction site with her head down. No one bothered her. No one noticed her. Everyone at the site left her alone. Then, later in the day, she walked past again, in the same outfit, with the same stride, but this time, she walked with her head up, more confidently. And that's when she got the calls, the whistles, from the men at the construction sites. And you tell me it's not deliberate. And you tell me it's not an effort to keep women in their place. This next one is the first poem in the book, and it's called No One Reports for Women. As I said, it is in Shattering the Glass Ceiling, but I have to say, per the advice of your benevolent hosts, which could not be here, I'm so sorry she can't be here, I am giving this disclaimer. There is no swearing in this next poem, but to anyone with small children, this poem talks about COVID-19 and women's reproductive rights in a bit of detail. So consider yourself warned. If there was anybody here with little kids, just want to make sure that was, if you need to walk away or something, I totally understand and I'm giving you that chance. This is your chance. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, sorry. Okay, I think we're good. This is No One Reports for Women. I would like to start this like a news reporter saying, Dateline, your town here. But news about women's issues is non-existent, which makes women wonder if concern for women is non-existent too. Recently I heard reports from multiple women who had been on birth control for 99% of their fertile lives. They contracted the most recent variant of COVID-19. And yes, they both had vaccines and booster shots, making COVID-19 like getting a minor cold. But these women noticed a week after recovery, 2 weeks before their period should arrive, that they started spotting, which didn't stop. So after 10 days, they looked around and found that other women were having this trouble with their reproductive health too, and no one had researched how to solve it. But really, think about it. Who would have the time to research something when they had to work like magic to come up with a vaccine on such short notice? I mean, no one's questioned men's fertility after COVID-19 and enough immunization to protect you from this. But maybe the question should be this. After women can now control their reproductive rights, does that mean that after following the government's edicts to protect themselves and inject themselves, they'll still get sick, but, added bonus, they'll bleed daily for it? Because this is exactly the type of problem that women don't want to talk about in public, and trust me, this shouldn't be a problem that any woman should ever have to deal with. So when women sit alone in their corners with no support for this very personal problem, they don't know that other women go through this too. That little line of sympathy may assuage their feelings, but it may amount to only fleeting gestures to know they're not alone. For the more you realize how common this may be, the more any rational woman would wonder why something isn't being done to solve what is becoming a real bloody problem. When many women's solutions search the internet, they may start to panic when they read reports that, well, birth control may increase blood clots and COVID-19 may exacerbate the risk further, but surprise, surprise, more research needs to be done to solve anything for women, and it still doesn't solve the daily bleeding that men are stating is harmless. Fine, but men aren't the ones bleeding every day. So this is beginning to sound more of the same. Women think we are in pain and nothing is being done. There may be theories that estrogen and progesterone may play a role in the novel coronavirus. That may explain why COVID-19 reaction is different between feminine me and my masculine husband. But taking estrogen daily, could that affect the vaccine or the virus? Well, it doesn't matter if one doctor after another hears a stack of anecdotal evidence from their patients, because stories aren't proof, and women are all still stuck bleeding with no way to solve their medical problems. And for men out there who don't want to think about women bleeding, even though men have no problem with the same women bearing and raising their children, which women have to bleed monthly for to make happen, similar stories arise with a young woman possibly wanting to have children one day, missing their period for 4 months after getting COVID-19, with irregular periods remaining, even though one woman talked to her doctor about it, and they assumed it was from COVID-19, but to quote the patient, none seemed too concerned about it. So, welcome to another case of an unexpected medical problem for women that no one can explain. You know, I jokingly said that I wanted to start this by saying, Dateline, your town here, but maybe I should have started and said all along, Dateline, your neighborhood, or Dateline, your street, or Dateline, your home. Because after only now hearing the now upswelling cries of women who follow the rules and do what's best for them, women only suffer for it with no explanation and, of course, can't share their problems in an effort to solve them. If women could tell their stories, it may only be a stepping stone. But if women did tell their stories, you may only then realize how serious the problems women go through can really be. Thank you for that, Judy. Thank you, Mr. Bunny. I've got one more. Oddly enough, it's another woman's one, but it's also an events poem. And it's a short one. And it was written on the 7th of July for the 1456 date where a retrial verdict acquits Joan of Arc of heresy, 25 years after her death. This is called Kill Us for Our Beliefs. This is the cycle we live in now. If we women are strong, if we fight for what's right with our life, we can lead armies, we can do everything in our power, and we can do the right thing and stand on the moral ground. And it may all still seem to no avail, for they will kill us for our beliefs. It doesn't matter in the here and now what happens, even if the ones who kill us later acquit us for any wrongdoing. Women face uphill battles every day, but struggles do lead to change, even if only after a lifetime of fighting. I'm trying to do a variety of different things, and now you're going to be like, oh, what is she doing now? I, years ago, wrote poems for every element in the periodic table. And a chemist friend of mine in Chicago was like, they're doing a contest, chemistry and engineering news, to do Twitter-like poems. I'm like, hell, I'm going to do one for every element. And I'm just going through, and they finished the contest, and I took 3rd place, which was kind of cool. But I decided I was going to try to write one for everyone, and I did. And I have a couple of books of it here which are not available for sale yet. And I also have a couple for chapbooks that I'm doing when I'm going to be in Chicago of the Twitterverse periodic table poetry. If anybody wants science, I got you some science. I got you some science right here, baby. So, but I'm going to give you 4. They're all Twitter-length, so they're not long, so you're going to get a science lesson. This one, first one is called Krypton, Mess With, and it's obviously element number 36, KR. And did you know that krypton is produced in nuclear reactions? Well, here's your science lesson. Krypton.
When desperate, distill air. Reveal your hidden glow. A bright, white nuclear shock. 30 times more of you beneath Polaris than the Southern Cross from our nuclear plants. We play with power, and you stay innocuous till we mess with you. We didn't ask for you to make things worse. This is for number 37, rubidium. Rubidium leads the way to a new state of the super sciencey. And for those of you who have the chat books, you can see Instagram images because they're nice and short. So I have Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. They're in there somewhere too. This rubidium leads the way to a new state. States of matter. I know we've mastered solid, liquid, gas, plasma, but state 5, the Bose-Einstein condensate. Cool atoms to near absolute zero, and atoms move so slow. Every atom acts the same. Cool rubidium with lasers. Bye-bye energy. And rubidium is no longer in the 4 disordered states. You guys are awesome. This one is element 47, and actually it's a bonus one. It's for the isotope of element 57 in silver. This is silver nitrate displaying our brain. Brain samples from a woman, from the cortex part that goes before complex thought, cut into 5,000 wafer-thin slices and stained with the heavy metal silver nitrate, when seen microscopically, gives the human brain map with such detail that our brains will still need years to decipher our brain. I love a positive response to science. This is so awesome. I love it, man. This is awesome. My last one for you on this one. This one is for element 60. Yes, there are Instagram images in the chat book. This is neodymium. Magnets up your nose. You already get to learn neodymium. What magnets? Oh, okay. Neodymium. Boredom during coronavirus self-isolation led to an Australian astrophysicist placing neodymium magnets on both sides of both nostrils, till magnets up his nose stuck to each other through his nose. He had to go to the hospital to get neodymium stuck out from up his nose. I think in that story, his partner worked at the hospital, and she's like, I gotta take you here because we're gonna get a load out of this. Like, can we take flyers? Can we? They had a fun time with that one. I'm sciencey, I should know better, right? Anywho, so yes, if anybody is interested, I have, I'm gonna say $10, they'll be $12.99, they're not available anywhere, and you would have all of them, and they're in a bigger typeface, and they've got lots of images, and they're really cool for the science types. If you're interested, that is there as well. I'm gonna close with one more poem, and it is one event's poem. I hope you guys appreciate it. It's one that was actually written on the 12th of July, on the birthday of Henry David Thoreau. And I hope this was a good ending. And thank you all so much for listening. I love you guys everywhere. You guys are the best. And this is Knowingly Live, Purposely Live. Life is as precious as you make it. And life is as deliberate as you choose it to be. We all make choices without thinking about it, which is why we may wonder how we got into this hole and how on earth can we get out. And through all this mess, we only feel lost. Oftentimes, it is only after we make that conscious choice, when we actively believe and act on our beliefs, that we begin to feel alive again. Oh, you say you have beliefs. This talking so much about beliefs is overreacting. We've been fine all along. It's just how everything goes and how everyone lives. Yes, and everyone wallows in that pit that no one remembers falling into. So stop passively letting others dictate your lives and control you. Well, once you realize what is happening, stand up and say something. Because civil disobedience isn't the act of the insane. It's the measure that people take when they realize that things have gone too far and they just can't sit back and do nothing. If you are lost, seek the truth, as all philosophers do, with every thought. The definition of a philosopher is a person who seeks the truth. Because after all modern life shares, it only espouses unnecessary complexity. So think this over. The true key may be to live simply, to live in harmony with nature and commune with our surroundings. Once you do that, it will seem simple to live deliberately, to live strategically. And suddenly, once you begin to think through life, you'll see that you're no longer lost.
Kuypers, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for her.
For the women defenders, we've got Shattering the Glass. See you watching. And I can first got
Again, ladies and gentlemen, the best way you can support an artist is to purchase their work. She's going to set up right over here. Make sure you buy one of her books for you.